Good afternoon. Welcome to EduSet Network. Friend, as you know, we are having discussion on psychology. And today topic for discussion is emotional intelligence. And for discussion on this very topic, we have the same resource person, Dr. Naveen Kumar. He is associate professor in Delhi University and known psychologist. He gives training to different different groups and also contribute to national and international journals. So on your behalf, I welcome Dr. Kumar for EduSet lecture on the topic emotional intelligence. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. As we know that today the topic for the discussion is emotional intelligence. We should be very clear because in the time duration we cannot discuss everything and anything and everything, but at least you should have a broad purview of the concept of emotional intelligence, because nowadays emotional intelligence has become far more important in our day-to-day life, in our organizational life, and in our interpersonal domain. So today we are going to discuss this topic. So briefly I will give you the outline of this topic. What is intelligence? What are our emotions? What is emotional intelligence? What are the components of emotional intelligence? What is the role of emotional intelligence in life, and how can we become emotionally competent? So one thing from the very outset we must know that a person who is not having bright emotional intelligence, they can improve a lot. Earlier we used to talk about simply IQ or intelligence quotient. It focused on our analytical reasoning, verbal skills, spatial ability, attention, memory, judgment. That murky concept with definitions by many experts. According to one definition, individual differ from one another in their ability to understand complex ideas, to adapt effectively to the environment, to learn from experience, to engage in various forms of reasoning, to overcome obstacles by taking thought. Concepts of intelligence are attempts to clarify and organize this complex set of phenomena. This was described by Nizar et al. In the year 1996. IQ. IQ, earlier we had the notion that those who have good IQ, they can achieve everything, but it is considered a weak predictor of achievement, job performance, success, overall success, wealth and happiness. Accounts for a major component of employment success according to numbers of studies covering career success may be as much as 20 to 25%. More potent predictors of career success were ability to handle frustrations, manage your own emotions, manage your own social skills. So this great myth where we had this, that people who are highly intelligent, they are considered that they will be successful. But nowadays, if you talk of the proportion or the ratio, even if you are very bright in your IQ, then it is very difficult to be successful in the practical walks of life. So it is more important that you must be successful in that. If you have to acquire success in life, then you should be emotionally intelligent person. So emotionally intelligent person considers the aspects of handling frustrations, managing your own emotions, manage your own social skills. That means those persons who have the greater ability to handle their own frustrations, manage their own emotions, they may be more successful as compared to the persons who are not so mature to handle their frustrations, manage their own, recognize their own emotions, manage their own social skills. So nowadays it has been found that those people that who are very successful need to be emotionally intelligent persons. Then how do you view emotions? Emotions can be of various types: chaotic, haphazard, superfluous, incompatible with the region, disorganized, largely visceral, resulting from the lack of effective adjustment. This was the view of the emotions in the year 1940s. How do we view emotions? Arouse, sustain, direct activity, part of the total economy of living organism, not in opposition to intelligence, themselves a higher order of intelligence. So more recent advancements in psychology indicate that emotional processing may be an essential part of a rational decision making. To get at emotion, go deep, amygdala is deep within the most elemental part. So we are discussing about the physiological aspects, then you have social aspects, then you have psychological aspects. So the basic, if you see the structure of the brain, amygdala is deep within the most elemental parts of the brain, and the main purpose of the innermost part of the brain is survival. There is a biological purpose for emotion. That means we get biological signals, which is called also biological signatures, signaling function, that we might take action, promote unique stereotypical patterns of physiological change, provide strong impulse to take action. Basic emotions presumed to be hardwired and physiologically distinctive. According to various psychologists, they have described various emotions, but among them, most important and most basic of the emotions are joy or happiness, surprise, sadness, anger, disgust, and fear. So these are the basic emotions that all of us experience in our life. So evolutionary advantage to emotions. For example, fight or flight response. But can basic emotions overwhelm rational thinking? Neurobiology of rationality. Damasio's work shows how neurobiology can help us understand the role of emotion in thinking. We constantly learn more about this important area. Work like his underlies the concepts of emotional intelligence. There are less obvious advantages to emotional experience. Emotion is emerging as an essential contributor to rational decision making. Emotional intelligence. So the shortest route between two people is that if you smile, this is what was described by Victor Borge, who was a famous Scandinavian pianist, that the shortest distance between two people is a smile. So emotion is an obvious place where homework is needed. Now, emotional intelligence quotient encompasses qualities that go beyond general intellectual intelligence and technical competency. You may be very bright in your technical intelligence, or your in specific knowledge, for say for example computer, say for example automobile, say for example aviation, but more important factor is that it goes beyond your basic level of intelligence, and it describes that emotional intelligence is far more different than what your specific IQ used to suggest. 90% of the difference between outstanding and average leaders is linked to EQ and explains why some people excel while others of the same caliber lag behind. We all, even in the parents about their children, even school students, even college students, they all worry that despite having scored good marks, somebody could not be successful in his life or something like that. So you have to notice that it is not all the time that if you are scoring a good percentage of marks, that will guarantee you success. In fact, that is just one criteria nowadays, because the way you adjust in your society, the way you adjust in your family, the way you adjust in your academic environment and your social environment, that gives you emotional cushion to move forward in your life mission. So it is not necessary all the time that if you are good in solving mathematics or good in science or good in general knowledge or good in your other activities, that alone will guarantee you success. So for example, you can be very bright student, but IQ is more or less set from the moment we are born. So the biggest thing that we must understand and appreciate, that whenever we are born, IQ is more or less set. That means it is almost predetermined. But whereas EQ, today you are a socially not emotionally competent person, but tomorrow you can be a bright emotional person. So a person who is having limited IQ or even average IQ can improve their lot of emotional quotient from being ordinary to average and average to extraordinary. That a person who was not very much liked in the initial stages, in his office, in his college, in his work environment, later on they can become a most sought after person. That means IQ equal, so at a certain stage you will see that your analytical ability or your reasoning skills or your conceptual skills, you may not improve a lot, but one thing that you can improve. So this is the biggest advantage of EQ as compared to the IQ. And the higher people move up in the company, the more crucial emotional intelligence becomes. So if your decision making skills, your interpersonal skills and all your other skills become far more important once you move higher in your organization or in your life achievement paths. So the more responsible positions you are facing, then you have a more likelihood that your emotional competence will matter a lot. How your seniors, how your colleagues, how your juniors in the organization, they perceive about you, how they receive you in your office, how you are received in your social setup, how you are received in your professional setup, it matters a lot. It is a position gives you a positional authority, but emotional intelligence gives you that everybody in your office, everybody in your organization is happy with. So that gives you a relational status. Whereas by virtue of qualifying in some examination, by virtue of appearing in some interview, you may be CEO or head of the organization, but that does not necessarily mean that you will be uh, well accepted by all your colleagues in the organization. For that, you need to be emotionally competent person. More relevant in contemporary customer-centric business environment with the associated demands and pressures. Nowadays, you see there is a cutthroat competition everywhere. So, is the growth of private sector organizations. It is not they are giving something much better, but because the service quality to their customers, they feel satisfied. Okay, I have been taken care of. So this is a quality that if you think that you can apply in organizational setup, in a business setup, in any educational setup, or any walk of life for that matter, then it becomes far more relevant, particularly in present scenario where you see sometimes before that you have to be in the long queue even to open a bank account. Nowadays, the services in the private organizations, even in the government sector, they have improved to the level that they give utmost importance to their customers. Okay, you are my valuable customer. They give you due respect as a customer, as an individual. So you feel more satisfied. Maybe in that process, you are paying more than what you could have paid earlier. But that does not dissatisfy you if they are giving you quality service. If they take care of your emotional aspects, if they value your individuality, if they give respect to your dignity, then obviously you emotional intelligence matters most in times of change. That means whenever there is a change pattern of behavior, there is a change in the social context, there is a change in the cultural context, maybe in this particular environment where you are living, people are knowing you, so you are very comfortable and you behave as you behave. But if you are faced with a new scenario where you have to adjust with new set of people, suppose a child migrates from one school to another, then he has to make new friends. So if he thinks he was topper in his previous school, so everybody will give him respect, it may not be the case. So he may be at fault and people may not accept him as a good friend. So you have to adjust with the change, the process of change. Now the technology is changing, the lifestyle is changing, even our religious practices, people used to devote a lot of time doing religious activities. Now they minimize their time and they devote much time into their day-to-day work to adjust with the changing demands of the society and technology and with the changing demands of overall socio-cultural context. So you have to gear up yourself. It's not that something is fixed, you have to earn it. That is how emotional intelligence becomes more important. Crucial variable in people's workplace performance is their emotional intelligence. So that means emotional life is very important. It is very important. People think that okay, I am doing every work according to the rules, according to the regulations, according to the prescribed format what others have behaved, so I will be also performing. But that is not a guarantee. That may be a particular behavior pattern of a particular person, but you have to adjust according to the changing demands of the situation, and workplace demands that you should have a greater performance, you should have a greater participation in your emotional life. If you take care of your colleagues, if you take care of your family, if you correlate them, if you are happy with yourself, and managing your self science, it is also, it is not only a science, it is regulating your own behavior and understanding the feelings of others. So if you, there is an employee who is working under you, he is demanding leave for certain time for some emergency purpose, but you say no, you have exhausted you. So you need to find out, you need to be more considerate, you need to be more sensitive, that okay, if I may have emergency, even my colleagues or my staff may have emergency. So in workplace, it is not only the rules that governs your success and performance, but if your people are motivated, if your organization people are motivated, they are happy with themselves, then obviously their productivity will be far more superior as compared to the persons who are just working. They are physically there, but psychologically they are dissatisfied. That will not yield to any positive results. When people get out of their car and go into the workplaces, they do not leave their emotions in their car. So it is a physical transference. Our understanding is almost always emotionalized. So we think that we work from the brain, but if you think very sincerely and seriously, then you will realize that you cannot brush aside your emotions. Suppose you had some tensions at your home, you cannot set it, okay, 9 o'clock it is my office time, so office is separate and home is separate. There is a two minds theory of emotion which thinks that there is a brain where one thinks and there is a brain where one feels, but feeling and thinking cannot be separate topics. So you they overlap with each other. So something good has happened at your home, some good, suppose there has been a birth of a child at your home, there is marriage ceremony. If you think that while driving to your car, you will forget your all family work, it is just impossible. People think that I will manage it separately. This is my office work, this is my personal work. But in practical life, it does not happen so. So thinking mind and feeling mind works together. So the more the harmony there is between thinking mind and the feeling mind, the better you are at work and the better you are with yourself. Thinking and deciding are always brushed with emotion. Organizations are emotional arenas. That is, they vibrate with the intense activity of lived emotions. So, organizations, you think that it is only technology. Nobody will work unless they relate themselves with the work they are doing and they relate with a strong degree of emotion. Okay, this is my work. If I am there, suppose I am giving a lecture, because the support staff of this office, we cannot deliver a lecture because technology involved. It is not only technology, it is also the emotional output of the persons that they are well here in the time. They are contributing that this show should run in a nice manner. So it is not the isolated technological component. It is also the feeling aspects, the emotional aspects of the persons working here, or for that matter in any organization. So it is the vibrant system. It is not technology that we live. It is the relationships that we live, whatever degree, whatever high ups and whatever positions we do achieve in our life. Emotions result from the way systems of meaning are created and negotiated between two people and their social and cultural context. So, how do we understand? Sometimes we think this is all or none. That means I have achieved something or I have not achieved. So, I am a failure or I am successful. But this is not the real journey of your life. We must negotiate. Somewhere, sometimes we have failed. That does not mean most of the most successful people in the world, if you notice their graph, they have not been successful what they initially wanted to do in their life, but ultimately they become successful and role models for millions of the people. For example, uh, in the Indian film industry, even Amitabh Bachchan was failure in Indian defense services. But now how many of us can think of becoming so successful as Amitabh Bachchan is? So similarly, even if you see the Barack Obama's history, he does not had a very luxurious background, but he could become and achieve the post of becoming the president of United States of America. So sometimes in hardships we think, oh, this is the job which I could not get, so what would I do in my life? This is the partner who has left me. Maybe that will give you a better learning, and it will teach you a better emotional competence to handle with such type of crisis, and it should learn you to negotiate with your day-to-day demands, emotional demands. Sometimes you are willing to marry someone and somehow that relationship does not materializes. So that is not the end of the road. It is not only the one person in the world who can be a good match for you or anybody else. So there can be many others. So it is negotiating, it is understanding of the social reality, it is interconnecting. But those people who earn well, they have good positions in their office says, but they don't interact with others, they don't share with themselves. So at times of crisis, emotional crisis, they are not having friendship with any good friend. So it is difficulty, and at times it becomes so harmful that it percolates deep, it hums, it percolates deep into your mind, and you fall sick because of this emotional being emotionally upset. So emotions is not an easy game, but if you want to be that, if you live life with a positive attitude, then emotions can be very much useful and very you can say that it can be a productive way of living. Emotions result from the way systems of meanings are created. So systems of meaning do not come from isolation, it exists within the society. So we create meanings So how do you perceive? Suppose there is a neighbor of yours who does not behave so well, but if you get into the tension by seeing him, then every day there is a tendency that you will be upset to seeing him. So you think that there is a limitation that he does not understands, it is his way of understanding, and you accept that diversity. Then you will, suppose you are crossing a red light, somebody is beeping from behind and honking, 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 you may get irritated and you may get into an agitational mode. But if you think maybe he is having a medical emergency, maybe he is having some emergency of some other sort, so he is doing like this. So if you rationalize, if you cognitively reframe your ideas, then that can makes your control your anger and makes your life easy. So same thing can be handled in variety of ways. Sometimes you have difficulty in handling family relationships. Sometimes you have difficulty in handling your child. They demand, okay, I want a motorbike. You are earning. What are you earning? So you have to accept that reality that he is not asking on his own. He is getting guided by peer pressure. It's not that he sees you as a father. So now you have to be little more practical, and you need to convince him that okay, I will do my level best to satisfy it. But simply you ignore it, simply you continue, you don't know what my salary is, you are asking for a car. Now you should motivate that child, okay, tomorrow you can earn that position and you both of us will bring a car. So if you can create that emotional harmony. But sometimes they say, you don't know what my salary is, what my earnings are, you don't know my responsibilities, how dare you can talk like this. So similar things can be handled in a variety of ways. This is what you should learn from emotional intelligence. Workplace experiences comprise a succession of work events that can be pleasing and invigorating or stressful and frustrating. So workplace experiences, that means if every achievements you can achieve in one day, then what job you will have for the other day. So if you think that a work is not like a war, work is like an enjoyable component. So if you do it with a sense of happiness, that okay, today if I could not complete my work, tomorrow I will. So it's not that is where you should get frustrated. So say there are people, oh, we could not meet this deadline, so everybody is stressed, everybody is getting hyperactive, we have to achieve this target. But achieving that target and keeping aside the emotional aspects, so tomorrow suppose for you can say Hindus, there is a festival called Holi, and you have lots of work in the office. Everyone will be ready that okay, I'll complete my work after Holi. They might do overwork. For Muslims, there is a festival called Eid. They will complete their work if they are given extra time or to have enjoyment at home with their family members. But if you force them, okay, according to this rule, everybody has to be here in the office and they have to do this work, whether they have any religious festival or any cultural festival, I don't care. I am telling you, it will not succeed. So unless they touch to your emotional, now for example, you can see the FDI retail. I am not a supporter of it. What I am trying to tell you, that emotional persuasion aspect was ignored. People who will be benefited or not benefited, if you don't discuss, they will oppose you. But even if there are persons whom you think that relative is arrogant, but if you take the first step, okay, he is arrogant, but after all he is my relative, he is my friend, and you take the initiative, hello, how are you? I am telling you, once or twice, at least third time, you will certainly get a good response from that gentleman or a person. So it's that we ourselves limit ourselves with the variety that we are already having. So if you yourself block the road, then you close the limit for your emotional compassion, the space for empathy. You develop an antipathy. So so these events affect the way we feel and behave at work. So emotions, physiological changes with our bodies, subjective cognitive states, and expressive behaviors. So you have the basic emotions, Anger, it is very seductive. Anger, you can say that if somebody is angry, they will keep on increasing their disgust, envy, exasperation, irritation, rage, torment, fear that okay something will happen to me. You have this sense of endangerment that I will not be okay with my exams, I will not be. So this is also one of the basic emotions. Then you have emotions of joy, happiness, cheerfulness, contentment, enthrallment, optimism, pride, relief, jest. Then you have uh, this emotion of love, affection, longing, lust. Then you have sadness, which is also very common, that whenever we are not satisfied with our work, with our family, with our day to day life, with our material expectations, with our social expectations, we feel sad. So, this is also one of the basic emotions. And last but not least important is the surprise. No subcategories of emotions. So, emotional intelligence, a form of social intelligence, it involves the ability to monitor own and others' feelings, to discriminate among them, to use this information to guide. So, what is emotional intelligence? Emotional intelligence is the capacity for recognizing our own feelings and those of others, for motivating ourselves and for managing emotions and well in ourselves and in our relationships. A field in infancy, fast growing aspect, hearken to research of the 1940s. Emotional intelligence, then we talk of self awareness. So, how you are aware of your emotional intelligence, about your emotional self. Then you have other aspect, self regulation. How do you regulate your aspects? Self motivation. Then you have social awareness and social skills. So, these are the components of emotions that one can improve, that you understand your own emotions. Self, you should have awareness that I am happy, unhappy, how many times you laugh at your home, how many times you talk nicely. So, you should have a self regulation, that how do many times you get unnecessarily angry or you be relaxed or this kind of things. Then you have self motivation, then you have social awareness, then you have this self awareness, self regulation and self motivation are aspects of personal competence, and social awareness and social competence are aspects of interpersonal competence. Personal competence, learning to organize ourselves emotionally so that we could give our best. Traditionally, we have come to regard our moods and emotions as things which happen to us, giving us no control over how we respond. We place the locus of control away from ourselves and point the finger elsewhere, out there, making ourselves victims. So, you have to be very particular that most of the times you have to realize your own aspects. So, attributing everything to some outside agency or some external agent will not make you competent emotionally. So, interpersonal competence, anyone can become angry, that is easy, but to become angry with the right person, the right degree, at the right time, for the right time of, for the right purpose and in the right way, that is not easy. This is what was told by Aristotle. The 5 components of emotional intelligence are emotional self-awareness, managing one's own emotions, using emotions to maximizing your intellectual processing and decision making, developing empathy, which is very important, the art of social relationships, managing emotions in others. So, Goldman's categories of self-awareness, self-regulation, self-motivation, social awareness and social skills. Emotional self-awareness, inability to notice our true feelings, leaves us at their mercy. People with greater certainty about their feelings are better pilots of their lives and have a surer sense about how they feel about personal decisions. Stay open to our emotional experience. Can we tolerate the entire bouquet? Value of taking time for self-awareness requires ability to recognize appropriate body cues and emotions, to label cues and emotions accurately. You must understand what is causing you disturbance, what is causing you, so you should label the various aspects. You should not generalize. Sometimes you are unhappy with some behavior aspect of your friend, or and you generalize the whole character. So you should not target the whole thing. You should be very specific about that. To stay open to unpleasant as well as pleasant emotions includes the capacity for experiencing and recognizing multiple and conflicting emotions. Managing one's emotions, it is like a smoke alarm. We are not good at influencing whether a particular emotion will arise. Emotional intelligence tells us something is arising. We do have tremendous individual variability in the degree which we can consciously limit the duration of unpleasant emotions and the degree of influence over the various which may arise. Out of control emotion, impair reasoning. Even smart people sometimes act stupidly. May increase the likelihood that chronic emotional problems will result. Clinical depression or chronic anxiety. Hostility. Emotional development, we developed external strategies first, then we develop social strategy. Girls do better at developing strategies overall. Using emotions to maximize intellectual processing and decision making. As a person matures, emotions begin to shape and improve thinking by directing a person's attention to important changes. For example, a child worries about his homework while continually watching TV. A teacher becomes concerned about a lesson that needs to be completed for the next day. The teacher moves on to complete the next task before concern takes over the environment. Developing empathy. Empathy is the ability to recognize another's emotional state. So sometimes you start reacting without knowing the other person's perspective. That is very important in emotion, which is very similar to what you are experiencing. In research on married couples, empathy appears to include matching the physiological changes of the developing empathy links to greater emotional stability, greater interpersonal sensitivity, better school performance. The art of social relationships, managing emotions in others. To excel at people skills means having using the competencies to be an effective friend, negotiator and leader. One should be able to guide an interaction, inspire others, make others comfortable in social situation and influence and persuade others. These subtle and complex abilities which underlie people's skills. Being attuned to others' emotions, promoting comfort in others through the proper use of display rules, using own emotional display to establish a sense of rapport. The danger of the nice personality. Have you ever met a nice person but the bells have gone off? Charisma draws in but does not always to desired ends. Hitler, Jim Jones. Empathy can be faked, so can other emotions. The development of EI, it can be developed and it can be developed to a greater degree. The genetic contribution is likely, but no very confirming contribution or confirming research. They are not destiny. Early expressions of emotions by parents helps learning. Early abuse hinders learning. Poor ability to read others' emotions may lead to the development of poor skills. So sometimes you always attribute the wrong aspect. Oh, he is not talking because he does not likes me. Maybe he can have or she can have some limitations of his or her own. So you give the better aspect. Okay, maybe some difficulty, so he is not talking to me. So don't try to attribute each and everything towards the negative aspect. Some gender differences, more willing to compromise social connectedness for independence, not as good as women at this, males, less adept than women overall, more physiologically overwhelmed by marital conflict. As far as females are concerned, greater need for connectedness, have a wide range of emotions, better at reading emotions, better at developing social strategies overall, perhaps more engaged in marital conflict. It cannot be generalized, but yes, this is the larger findings that has come in the gender aspect. Emotional related dysfunctions, all or nothing thinking, overgeneralizations, excessive worrying as magical thinking, disqualifying the position, jumping to negative conclusions, should statements, labeling and mislabeling personalizations, stonewalling, criticism, contempt. Impacts on physical health. So, how it relates to our health also. This is what is very important. You think that emotional intelligence is just for EduSet lecture. It relates to your well-being. It relates to me. It relates to the gentleman sitting just beside me, and all of us. So it's not. So your immune system improves if you laugh for more time a day. Your immune functions also improve. Your cardiovascular diseases may increase or decrease if you are emotionally happy or unhappy. Progression of diabetes. So diabetic people, if you remain isolated, depressed, so your fighting skills will go down. Progression of cancer, onset of hypertension. So these are clearly, so you need to have a salutogenic approach towards life, where you take things head on and you try that one day things will be better for me, instead of taking the depressed route that okay, everything is wrong for me, so what next, and you get into this seductive dilemma of sadness. Impact on relationships. It impacts our relationships and it has impact on our mental health. All dysfunctions at work, in the persons in the wrong job. Is the person in the wrong job? Does the job require the person to be difficult? What is remarkable about the group dynamics of the organization? What about individuals, personal and interpersonal? Some business examples. Airlines are similar in picture structure, price structure. The competitive is equal to how well personnel treat passengers. Others and yours. Implementing credit card use. Getting contractors paid when the system won't work. ABC, JLIMS. Importance of EIC and EI in organizations. The higher you go, the more EI matters, the more social competence matters. Socially, economically, status, ECQs, influence, communication, leadership change, catalyst, conflict management, building bonds, collaboration and cooperation, team capabilities. Army values, leadership, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, personal courage. Importance of EI to organizations too. 50% of work satisfaction is determined by the relations a worker has with his or her boss. It is very important that one must notice. EI is a prerequisite for effective leadership across borders. It is not only a case in India, but even across the border. Requires a high level of self-mastery and people's skills, ability to put yourself in the position of others. A one-day seminar won't do it. And what is training in EI worth? Increase retention, decrease absenteeism, increase overall organizational. Could increase production as much as 20%. Current estimates to American business losing between $5.6 billion and $16.8 billion annually. If we knew nothing about a store except that employee attitude has improved 5%, we could predict that its revenue would rise 5% above what it is otherwise would have been. Sears Executive, Harvard Business Review, 1990. 9 strategies for promoting emotional intelligence. You can have a quick recognizing and naming emotions, taking the time for mindfulness. Then you have understanding the causes of feelings, then differentiating between emotions and the need to take action, preventing depression through learned optimism, managing anger through learned behavior or distraction techniques. Then you have listening for the lessons of feelings, using gut feelings in decision making. What you feel is very strongly that you must follow. Developing listening skills. There are instruments to measure EI. Take time for mindfulness, recognize and name emotions, ID the causes of feelings, differentiate having the emotion and doing something about it, learn optimism to challenge distortions, learn distraction techniques, listen to a voice of experience, develop listening skills. Selected links to EI information is this. So this is what is our brief introduction of emotional intelligence. A lot many things has been discussed and described in very short span of time. This is also not a very good representation because it requires a larger amount of time which I could not do justice with, but I hope it could have satisfied your expectations.
Okay, fine. This was the academic discourse, and you tried to put out the principle and practices of emotional intelligence. But I would like to also know, because this is only for those who are emotionally balanced, but for them who are emotionally disturbed, what they need to do, and how do they identify their problem? Because that is very difficult. A difficult situation when somebody emotionally disturbed.
Yeah, very good question. But one thing that if a person is having difficulty, so you should chart out your day-to-day activities. That suppose there are 24 hours in a day, then you have to focus that how much time you feel depressed or how much time you feel happy about yourself. That is not very difficult to identify. Now you have to notice the major bottlenecks in your relationships, that it may be work, because nowadays work adjustment has become very important, that many people don't feel that I am being taken care of about my emotions. So work, whether that is work situation that is giving you lots of tensions or anxiety or sadness or whatever negative emotions, or it is a family situation. First you must identify the regions and the major areas. You should not care for the minute things, and once you start caring, then it will not be for difficult for even a person who is not so mature, but they can identify these are the things, that is maybe somebody's friend, somebody's family, somebody's office. So they can identify the major deterrents of their emotional happiness. That is not very difficult. So first thing is the identification of your emotional bottlenecks, emotional roadblocks. Then you can initiate measures to overcome those. Now suppose if you have a problem, there are very difficult situation with a boss who is going to be there for next 5 years and you cannot change your job. So one thing that you cannot change, you should not try. That will give you more dissatisfaction in you. So one thing that you can change is you. So managing your self science can guide you to navigate your skills in such a manner that at least if his boss is not that happy with you all the time, at least he is not so unhappy. So you can minimize from unhappy to happy and from happy to very happy. So it depends. So you must be knowing why maybe somebody is not liking the way you function in the office. But it is not the functional aspect only, it is emotional aspects also. This is what the two brain theory suggests. It is not only thinking, that if you can explain the causes, okay sir, I could not do this work because of my limitation of this sort, then obviously things will change. And optimism is a key concept in this emotional intelligence, that okay, today is the situation, and if you can derive your resources, happiness resources from various other sources, then you can distract that attention. So don't give attention to those things which causes tensions in you. As I had given the example of road traffic also, sometimes you are following the traffic rules, but if somebody, a gentleman comes and they starts honking, okay, you give me side, otherwise I will rush through. So you can think that okay, maybe he is having emergency, he is having some important work, so he is in hurry. I don't have that hurry. So similarly, a same thing can be pictured in a variety of ways. So if you try to find that diversity of space, of skills and cognitive reframing of the situation, so you identified the causes that makes you, because day to day worries that keeps you at times active also, that you cannot rule out in your life. But chronic worries should be identified, and chronic worries should be converted into chronic happiness. So this is how, if you identify the regions then obviously you will know why he or she is not happy. Sometimes you say that I give my 100%. You give your 100% in terms of your work, but that is one aspect. This is what this topic is all about. You have to give 100% from your emotional aspects, recognizing his feelings. Maybe my boss may not be happy with me because of some problems at his home, at his interpersonal level. So you should also try to understand that at times he is not in a good mood because of his own set of problems. It is not the problem is directly related with me. So don't put the onus of the blame on yourself. So that is how you can improve your own behavior.
Okay. Another question I would like to know. Generally, those who are emotionally disturbed, they are not keen to take advice from others, and they go in isolations, and that further worsen the situations. So, how you can suggest that this problem could be overcome? Should the others be directly involved with them? You have to try another method to get involve the emotionally disturbed persons. You should give the advice directly.
Okay. Emotions is an, as I said you, that it is a intrapersonal and interpersonal both. But if you have to identify the other's problems, as you said, then it is an interpersonal process. An interpersonal process, the family members, the office staff, or maybe in your office also, sometimes in your workplace also, you notice that some of the employees coming regularly but is not. So it is not very difficult to read somebody's emotional unhappiness. This is what I am trying to make. So once it is read, then the people who care for him or her, they should take the initiative that okay, why is. So if you start sharing and if he or she trusts you, then obviously they will come out with their ideas. Okay, this is how I was not happy. I am not happy with my family. I am not happy with my work. I am not happy with myself. So whatever worries he would like to share. So those who do not, because as I said, that those who are emotionally upset, they might go into these kind of dysfunctions, and they might take this route of being chronically anxious, and they might become even victims of anxiety disorder, and they don't want any advice also. But in that process you need to hit the right chord and try to improvise their emotional skills by sharing of the near and dear to whom they trust. Because if you say that a problem is with that individual, and if that realization is not being, awareness is not being sensitized by some others, then obviously it will be difficult to overcome on his own. So some emotional support from interpersonal domain is very much required.
Okay. So, well, friends, this was really an insightful lecture. It will not only help us to manage our emotion, but also helps those who are emotionally disturbed to overcome their problems. So, I hope this lecture must have benefited all of you. So, with this word, we would like to conclude the lecture. I thank all of you for watching the lecture, and on your behalf, I thank Dr. Naveen Kumar for giving such a wonderful lecture. Thank you very much.